you're recording, are you? Okay, thank you. All right, thanks very much. Bud, let me start off with, and you know, everybody, before we even do introductions, let me apologize for the city that we couldn't meet physically, because that's always so much better in person with these joint meetings, and also that we're not able to share a meal. That's always been helpful in prompting discussion and kind of the sidebar discussions. So maybe next year, huh?
Well, while we love to meet with you in person, we also love the meal. So, yeah, accept it.
Well, we'll do it. We'll stay with it. Why don't you, if you don't mind, introduce your tribal council, and maybe they could all, so we could hear their voices.
Okay. Of course, I'm Bud Lane. I'm the vice chairman of the tribe. And we also have on, if you guys will, go ahead and introduce yourselves, please. Siletz Council.
Lily Butler.
Reggie Butler.
Sharon Edenfield.
Okay. And Tina, are you there as well?
I'm here, but I'm here as a staff person. I'm the acting general manager for the tribe.
Great. All right, you've got a big crew. Why don't, versus the council, we have everyone here. I'm Dick Anderson, mayor. And why don't we, before I get to council, Ron Chandler, our city manager, is sitting in with us as well. And how about council, just kind of take turns and put your voice on the record.
Riley Hoagland.
Rick Mark.
Deanna Hinton. Sorry, Rick, we talked over each other.
Again?
Pattern? Oh, sorry.
And Diane Coos, okay.
Mitch Parsons.
Oh, there's Mitch.
Judy Casper.
Great. All right. And we've got everybody then. We've put together an agenda, Bud, with some different kind of more updates and nothing too threatening that I can see. But thought we'd want to just update us all. The first one is actually where we're collectively doing a project. Some people call it a sidewalk, others boardwalk, but along Highway 101, from West Devils Lake to the Neotsu Post Office. The Siletz Tribe, the city of Lincoln City, and ODOT are all in conjunction with building, or at least funding, a walkway along the south side of 101. And as far as an update, that's some little over $3 million project, and it's in design. Should be done, almost done with design by the end of August. It was what they call a design build, and we went with K&E Construction. That's done a lot of ODOT work, and ODOT is appreciative of their construction ability. But I'm not sure when construction then would actually take place, Ron, in probably 2021.
Yeah, probably. I tried to tie our public works director down on that, and I just couldn't.
Okay.
But they are looking sometime after the first of the year to begin construction.
Okay. Well, that'd be great, just getting people off 101, and you know, there's a little bit of still that gap heading west from West Devils Lake until you get to Logan Road. But you know, hopefully we'll get a sidewalk in there sometime soon.
Nice.
But that's, you know, actually it's one of the great things of partnering. I think you use some of your transportation money that came in differently, but we could join, and both city and tribe worked together on this project, so worked out real well.
That's always a good thing when we can work together on stuff.
Yeah. Any questions from anybody on that actual project? All right.
This is Tina. I know our planning manager would like to stay connected with your staff working on that project, as Pam has some questions and things she wants to make sure get worked out. So from the tribe's perspective, our tribal planner is Pam Barlow-Lynn. Yeah. And she just has questions and wants to make sure she connects with your staff.
Okay, great. Ronald, and we know Pam, and I think she talks a lot with Lila, but we'll make sure that happens. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then Ron, the next one is the future 47th Street extension, and we're looking at a possible grant.
Yeah, this is the a road that would connect Northwest 44th through to Northeast 47th. It's a pretty steep ravine area that goes through that. And each year the state of Oregon has a transportation growth management grant that they have. It's due on July 31st of each year. We're not planning on applying for this year. So this is really looking towards a year away. And the funds, or the kind of projects that can be used, are for the actual design and construction drawings that would be associated with this. And it's done in the form of a feasibility study. And so what we're looking at that would be helpful with applying for that is not only the support of the city council, which we have to have, but also support of the tribal council, which would then up our chances of being able to receive this grant. The estimated cost that we have in this project is a part of the city's transportation systems plan, and we have an initial estimate of the cost, which would be about $4.3 million, but we haven't done a full-blown design of the project yet.
Now, tell me exactly where is that the one that hooks up at the on the east end of up by the RV park there?
Yeah. It'd be just south of the RV park. It's kind of behind the shopping center.
Right.
Exactly.
And hooks into your entrance into the casino.
Yeah. David, can you give me the ability to share screen? For those of you that are on phone, I'm sorry that you won't be able to see this, but what you're looking at now is the green dotted line is where the road would go, and how it connects into 44th and 47th. To get a bigger picture of it, it's this area that connects. So here's the 44th that goes around through the parking lot down by the casino, and then this is the area where it connects. Okay, I'm gonna stop the share on this one.
But yeah, one of the big cost is there's that ravine there. We've got to figure out some way to economically bridge it, whatever we do.
It's fairly steep in there, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
Didn't we talk about this years ago? This is Lorraine Butler.
yeah. It's always on the agenda.
Okay.
So that you're saying you're talking about next year to start planning for that?
Well, what we would be doing over the course of this year is putting together the application for the state's grant program, but it wouldn't actually be submitted until a year from now.
But I think what we're concerned about is the joint meeting where we'd have this, would be too late, to meet the application. So we want to, at least get it on your agenda earlier and see if your council would support the effort to go after grant money and tie in with us.
Well, we can definitely have a discussion. Like we say, this has been around, this idea has been around for a long time. It's been on a lot of plans that I've seen over the years. So we can definitely give it a go and take a look at it. And we don't have to meet once a year. We can meet anytime that you've got the time.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
And maybe, I don't know if everybody's been part of this, if I may, sorry. I don't know if this is Deanna Hinton. I'm not sure that everybody's been part of this conversation for all these years, but maybe if someone could talk a little bit about the purpose for this. I believe it's for housing, an opportunity for people who live on the north end of this new proposed street, could then more easily get to work at the casino. I think that's part of the understanding that I have. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's actually, I think, to try to bleed some of the traffic away from that main intersection at Logan Road and McDonald's. So anything, and kind of cutting people from into the golf course, kind of pushing them so they don't have to go out on 101 and can cut through to the golf course a little easier. It's really trying to find some way to relieve traffic at those intersections.
So I have a question then. So then when we do the planning, Ron, I guess this is for you. So when we do the planning for this in the next year, we probably ought to think about a traffic count because Logan is so busy and how that intersection would work. And does that go into the feasibility study too?
Sure, except that the application, I don't know everything that needs to go into the application, but the application's purpose is to both do the feasibility studies and to do the design itself. So I'm not sure the extent of the work that we'll have to do for the application itself, but that is one of the purposes of it, is to do the feasibility and the design work.
Okay, thanks.
So we'll follow up with you, Bud, and as we firm up a little more that grant request and come your way, if that's all right.
That's all right, and we will have our own discussion too, though. But it sounds like a promising thing.
All right. The other one is, again, one of our items, beach access, intergovernmental agreement and possible street vacation. Yeah, go ahead, Ron.
Okay, so this is one that our attorneys have actually been working on, and I'm going to do the share screen again. And again, to those that are on the phone, I'm sorry that you won't have the chance to see this. What you're looking at is the Lincoln Shore Star Resort subdivision plans. And those plans had 3 beach accesses. At the north end, this is Northwest 50th, and the part that is in yellow is called Track K, and that goes down from the end of the road down to the beach. The other 2 access points, the casino sits right about here, okay? And so this is at the very end of the hotels, and that is where the access point that has all the stairs is located. And then the last one is at just south of the restaurant, and it's a beach access point. It's asphalted most of the way down to the beach. When those were dedicated to the city in 1990, or when those were, I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. When this was finished in 1991, those 3 tracks were designated as public access. And then the casino was then developed. And from the time the casino was developed until last year, those have been maintained by the casino. It was pointed out to us last year that those were actually public access points, and at that point we began doing the maintenance of those, and that's worked out well for us. A few weeks ago, your attorney had contacted ours regarding some issues with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and they began discussing the idea of a shared maintenance plan for these access points. For the city to turn them over, it has to go through a vacation process. The attorneys did not necessarily feel that was the best solution that they were looking for. And so again, as they talked about it, it was some type of an intergovernmental agreement that would do a shared maintenance plan of this. What we're really asking tonight, and I've spoken to you in just the most general sense of this, is for both your permissions for our attorneys to continue to work on this with the idea of preparing an intergovernmental agreement on these 3 tracks.
So the the agreement would be to still share the maintenance of them?
It would be to share the maintenance of it. Some of the discussions that they have dealt with liability issues. If it remains as a public access and the agreement deals with just simply sharing the cost, then the city would continue to maintain it, and our maintenance crews would then we would have the liability associated with it, and you would just simply share in the cost. If you guys actually did work on it, any work that you had while your crews were there could affect the liability for you. So they're trying to come up with the simplest way to be able to do this, to resolve all of the issues that they're coming up against. I'm assuming that Mr. Dorsey has spoken with you guys about the Bureau of Indian Affairs discussions. They shared a little bit with us, but not a lot in detail.
Yes. So just a question: what type of maintenance does it require? How much is it? A lot?
Not a lot.
Okay.
If you go to this track K, which is the northernmost one coming off of 50, it's a dirt road. And the maintenance that we do on it is that we cut back the brush off the dirt road, and we will grade it and replace the gravel that goes with it. At the very southern end, this is an asphalt road, track G. This is the one that's just south of the restaurant.
Yes.
The asphalt's in pretty great shape. Most of the work that we have been doing, again, has been to trim back the vegetation that can overgrow it. The area where we may have the biggest expense is in track F. This is the one that's just north of the hotels and has the stairs. We've had to do some repairs on the stairs. They've been a patch job of it. There has been some shifting of the ground underneath it a little bit that has caused the stairs to have a slight twist in them. Sometime in the future, those stairs are going to have to be either completely done or replaced. We've estimated that cost could be as much as about $100,000, and so that's where the biggest expenses will be. I don't have a time frame in which that will become necessary, but that will be the most expensive cost we'll have.
So the question is, you're asking that we authorize our attorneys to work with yours to come up with this.
Yeah. come
agreement.
up with an agreement that we'll bring back to both bodies to review and submit for your approval.
From our side, if there is no objection, we can agree to do that. I mean, we'll be making a final decision on whatever they come up with by our individual bodies, and then hopefully jointly agree on it, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
This is Sharon. I have a question. Is one of the issues, it has Chinook winds on a couple of the sites?
I'm sorry, say that again. Has Chinook winds what?
Is one of the issues on two of the tracks? I know that Chinook winds has their name.
No.
Okay.
Well,
I just want to make sure that's not an issue.
I don't know if that is an issue in your interactions with the Bureau of Indian Affairs. It is not an issue with us.
Okay. And was that the street vacation? Wasn't there discussion, Ron, of maybe 44th Street or?
Yes, that's a little later on the agenda, but we
Oh.
can go ahead and discuss that now if you would like. This is very preliminary that we've had a little bit of, I got to bring it back up. I lost it. This is 40, well, let me bring back the original one. Some discussion that we have had has been over this street. Right now, that is a city right-of-way. And the question that has been posed to me is, should it be the tribe's right-of-way and not a city right-of-way? That's just some real preliminary discussions that have had. It kind of kicked itself off a little bit when we did the approval of the overpass and the agreement for the overpass from the new parking lot. I don't know that we're in a position to go very far with that discussion at this point, other than when the approval of the overpass came along, that kicked that discussion into gear a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, and that, I think.
What's the difference of the agreement?
If I
Whether
understand,
it was the city or the tribe?
well, if I understand what you're asking, when you're looking at the two tracks that are beach access points, that's a much smaller property to be maintained. And those were actually dedicated to the city as public access points. This road on Northwest 44th is a much bigger road, much more expensive road to maintain.
Well, wasn't part of the discussion also, depending on what your plans were for this area? I mean, I think it came to a bit of a surprise to the city council, that we were having to vacate, that we still had it doing the overpass from the casino to the parking structure. And I think that it just raised the question of, shouldn't it be, tribal land, I guess is the real question that came up.
Sounds like another one for the attorneys.
Yeah, I think they are dancing with it, yeah.
Yeah, this is Robert Kent. It might enhance our ability to include it under the tribal transportation plan and BIA dollars for roads maintenance.
Yeah, that'd be a good point, right?
Yeah.
So I think, but the question really is, is that something, that we should have the attorneys keep talking about?
I think so.
Okay.
And And it ties in with the new road that is possibly going to hook the whole thing up over to down the hill there from ways.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
By the way, welcome, Robert.
Thank you. Sorry, I didn't log on till about 5.
That's fine. Angela's there too, I see. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I had to figure out which platform I was supposed to use.
We hear you.
Lorraine Butler's on also.
Oh, great. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is really just kind of a housing update. And, that's, since it's always another one of those things, it's always on or has been for as long as I can remember on any kind of joint meeting, since it's such a huge demand and need in our area. And, as far as the city, it's progressing. Housing is progressing. We've had a couple of market rate apartments pull permits, 30 units both. One of them's across from City Hall. The other is up northwest 36th. And then we're hoping to hear shortly this next month about funding, state funding with some low income tax credits for a piece of city property across from the IGA North, the grocery store, and just north of the Episcopal Church. The city owns that property, and we've been in partnership with a nonprofit who's going in for funding on 70 to 80 units of deeper affordable housing. So, that would, if it all goes well, that'd be 130 new apartments in the area, which would certainly help bring some relief.
Yes, very nice.
Yeah.
And I think there's been a couple of a subdivision or two, so it's not going to make a dent in the demand, but it's a start. Is the tribe got anything going as far as housing, at least in the North County area?
Yes, we do. Tina, are you on?
I am. So what we have going is the name of our project is Mia Chesna 2, and it's 10 units in 5 duplexes. There'll be a 3-bedroom on one side, 2-bedroom on the other side, and they're workforce housing. So the residents will be folks that are employed at Chinook Winds, and there's supposed to be a combination of low income and over income, depending on the applications that are received. So those are underway right now. We finished up a project up in the Portland area, and now we're in negotiations with them about duplicating for another low-income housing project up in the Portland area. But Nia Chesna 2 is the only thing we have right now up in the Lincoln City area.
Mm-hmm.
This is Robert. For Nia Chesna 2, we have the infrastructure, the cul-de-sac road built into it. And so it's to the east side of the cul-de-sac road that is getting developed currently. And then there will be vacant lots to the west side open for development in future.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. Well, so we are making a dent,
Yep, it's an ever ongoing problem almost everywhere in the country, but yeah.
Okay. And the next item just shows a Chinook Winds Casino update. Welcome back in business, after COVID shutdown.
Well, thank you. Just you know, it's a different world, the COVID world that we're all living in now. And so, you know, the casino's taken a lot of extra safety precautions in how we're operating. We're operating quite differently than we did before, but we don't have any table games happening right now, and no shows, of course. You know, we can't have those crowds. Our bingo is, we do bingo up to 200 people so they can be safely spaced apart. And everybody's got to wear a mask or a face shield. All our employees, all of our patrons, everyone has to have one on when they're in there. And also coming into the building, everybody has to have their temperature taken on the way in, and employees also. And, you know, our staff just works all the time cleaning and disinfecting all the time. And then it's open from 10 a.m. to 2 a.m. And the graveyard shift does this real deep cleaning. All the surfaces are completely cleaned really well. And like most places, we have some plexiglass up, but we got plexiglass on order to put those barriers up that need to be wherever they need to be, which is a lot of places. And so that's still happening, but it's, you know, it's quite a bit different than the way we used to operate, but, you know, just going to the grocery store is quite a bit different than we all used to do too, so.
Yeah. You know,
But, yeah.
Yeah, but could you talk a little bit about, you know, just your experience to share with us, you know, because you went first and we appreciate that, you know, the whole, you know, mask thing, and you even broke rank and no smoking and temperature taking, which is, you know, quite an ordeal. Then queuing up people before they come in, have resistance. Took a while to train the patrons. Can you talk a bit about that?
Well, I think any big change like that happens, but it's gone relatively smoothly. I mean, you know, there's always bumps along the road when you're asking the public to cooperate on even some minor things. But no, it's actually gone pretty smooth, and our staff has done just a wonderful job of making it a safe experience for the folks that still want to come in and gamble. And yeah, you know, and the mask thing is difficult. I don't like wearing a mask, but I do, and it's just the world we live in. And but we're happy with how things have been going so far. And the non-smoking thing, you know, early on they said that smoking actually. In addition to you having to lift your mask all the time, that could possibly lead to an easier route for infection if there was COVID around. And so we just decided early on that we would not allow it. So that's where we are. I see some other casinos are taking a look at doing it too. So.
I have too, yeah.
Yeah, kind of interesting.
Yeah.
But that's it, you know, it's the new COVID world, and all businesses, you know, everybody's having that adjustment in, you know, without real direct communication from the federal level and even the state level for enforcement or anything. It can sometimes be difficult because it's kind of the honor system, and, you know, there's some people that just aren't going to cooperate. But by and large, people that want to come to our establishment will cooperate, or they won't be there. So.
Huh. Okay.
But that's,
Yeah, this is Robert too. Along those lines, I think at least early on, I haven't heard anything just lately, but there were some patrons that were having to be constantly reminded to keep their mask on, even though they, you know, weren't smoking or drinking soft drink or whatever. And after a couple of warnings, and there's been instances where customers have been asked to leave if they wouldn't keep their mask on. But I haven't heard if that has continued, and it probably happens still occasionally.
Oh, Bud, and Robert, we may have to use you as prime examples that it can be done with some of our local businesses, if you don't mind. I think encouragement helps everyone.
Yeah, I think Lene Cowlitz Casino up in La Center recently went non-smoking, and they cited us as an example of somebody who had already been on that route.
Great.
Not that it doesn't have its detractors too, though. But by and large, the comments have all been largely to the good.
Does council or anybody have any questions that want to throw out? I don't hear any. Let's see. The next thing we have is we're up to our 2-year need to extend the agreement between the tribe and the city. It's coming due this month, and what we've done in the past is a 2-year extension addendum. I think we're up to this is number 6.
Wow, it's been that long.
So, nothing else has changed. It's just changing the dates.
This is Sharon. One of the things that I had asked the attorney about, because of what we're going through right now and revenues not being, what we were normally anticipating, if there could be language put in there that maybe a moratorium or something when these type of emergencies arise. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but it's something I raised with the attorney.
Yeah. We've done deferrals, especially with our water and sewer to our users, if they were in a bind. That I think that's something like that could be entered in.
So, Mayor.
Yep.
Deanna Hinton here. I just, so are we talking about a potential deferral of, what we did, if you're talking about sewer and water, I just need more information about what we're talking about. Is it sewer and water agreement? I don't know what this is about, the MOU.
This is it's a memorandum of agreement, and it's agreement for services provided by the city or the tribe.
Okay, which services?
It doesn't, well, I only have the addendum. There's a couple of different agreements as I recall, and Sharon, maybe you help, or Bud, because there's more than one agreement, and I don't know what this one, quite frankly, ties into, because it's not sewer and water, because I think those are separate billings.
Okay.
No, what we had agreed to in that this pertains to is the agreement. We agreed to pay a certain amount of money to the city, and that the city would not oppose any deed of trust applications of ours as part of that agreement to offset those costs to the city. But I believe it's tied right now to the consumer price index when increases occur.
Well, yeah, actually we changed that, I think last year. It's the annualized average specific CPU.
That's right. I remember that. Now that you mentioned that.
And what I had requested for the attorney to look at on the moratorium is just on the increase, not the payment, the initial payment that we've been paying. Just to clarify, I'm not saying there wouldn't be a payment. It would just be any increases to that agreement during that time.
Okay. Yeah.
That's another one for the attorneys to work out, I guess.
Okay.
Well, and, you know, in discussing this too, I mean, it's this COVID crisis we're facing this time. It could someday, heaven forbid, be a tsunami. It could be any number of things that creates an emergency situation like we're experiencing now.
Yeah.
Economic impacts that no one could foresee. But I don't know exactly what the language would look like, but I agree. Our attorneys could probably
figure it out.
Figure something out for us to look at anyway and to consider.
All right. Why don't we throw it to them? And thanks, Sharon, for that's a softer blow to my salary. You know, I hate taking away my salary or anything.
We wouldn't want to do that to you.
I better make sure it's clear that I don't get one, but that's okay. All right. So that leads into COVID. You know, we've talked all around it, a little bit about it and experiences.
Well, how is things going in Lincoln City?
With the virus?
Yes.
Actually, you know, some of the reports going through the hospital, since I sit on that, you know, there's one individual in the North Hospital now, and only 2 have been through the North End Hospital. Mm-hmm. And I think 4 altogether, in both county hospitals. So though the numbers have been higher up, positive cases, you know, they haven't been to the degree of hospitalization.
Which, that's good.
You know, if you can have anything good, that seems to be good. There actually seems to be a theory working around that in the medical world that the masks are having impact. Not that you can't still get or give, but it's a lower dosage of the virus that you might get. Because evidently, you know, the fish plant folks actually had masks on, which I hadn't heard before. But they've found that the cases in Lincoln County have been less severe. And even though that was the hot point that put it out there, they're believing now that, you know, anything that slows down or reduces the dosage of the virus, you still test positive, but it's not hospitalization case. So it sounded, and this I was getting through one of the health district from Leslie Ogden, actually, talking about what they're seeing through the hospitals. But we're all closed up, right, Ron? As far as with no plans to open up right away.
Yeah, of course, the city and the county are in phase 1, which means that our city hall is closed. Most of our employees office employees at least, are working from home. The community center is closed. The library is closed, except we do now offer outdoor pickup and drop off of books, come to the curbside type of thing. And the parks have remained closed, although we have had to find creative ways to enforce the parks being closed. The most interesting one was to get kids to stop playing basketball on our outdoor courts. So we put instead of taking the hoops off, we put tops on the hoops so the kids can't play. But we found out this last week that they still come and play even though the ball can't go through the hoop. So we find a lot of little things like that that actually kind of lighten the day up a little bit, as people are very, very innovative on how they try to continue to have a normal life despite the virus.
We've had our government offices are still closed, but we do have people working part of the time, a lot of people working from home. I'm going to ask Tina to step in here. She's our temporary GM, and she knows all of this stuff really well. We've actually been doing a lot with COVID and some of the funding that we were able to secure for this crisis. Could you update them, Tina, please?
I sure can. So early on, we started hearing from our membership about some of the difficulties they were having with the mass layoffs that everybody had. It hit a lot of our people as well. And I think it's not a surprise to anybody. We have a lot of two parents working in the homes just to be able to purchase homes, and so one might still be working and another was laid off. And so over time, I think we've realized that there's just been a lot of impact in a lot of different ways. Kids being home, expenses are going up substantially. One of our staff discussed how their food bill went from $30 a week to $200 a week, and part of it is being home more, but also just the cost of food and supplies has gone up so greatly that they have had that big of a jump. So we began to take a look at the funding that we received from U.S. Treasury under the CARES Act, and we've been developing programs to help meet those needs. So we've developed a full range of services from mortgage and rent relief from several different sources of funding. This Friday, they expanded it to those people whose mortgage is paid off but still have taxes, to help them with their property taxes. We were able to secure some food for the Siletz area for both tribal and non-tribal through our USDA program, and they were able to help 300 individuals through that. And then we developed a food program for tribal members all across the United States where we can purchase food for them at their local grocery store. We've been providing assistance through the Low-Income Energy Assistance Program. They sent us a second allocation so we could reopen that program. In addition, we've matched that program, and we're able to assist tribal members with those services as well. We sent out a survey, and we're waiting to hear the results back of that to see how else we might be able to help our membership. As Bud mentioned, our offices are closed, and we continue to keep most staff at home. We like the city and the county. We watch those numbers every day to see how things are going, and we're very lucky here in Lincoln County. But as you know, we have an area office that reaches from Portland to all the way south to Eugene and all the way across. So we have staff all across those 11 counties. And so we're not just watching Lincoln County, we're watching all of the counties, and continue to reach out to try to meet the needs of our membership however we can.
Yeah, and in addition to, we've been running a food program out of our USDA food program and getting foods out to folks here locally in the area. And so there's a lot of need out there, and we've just done our best to try to meet those needs wherever we can.
It certainly all helps and has positive impact, so appreciate it. Your clinic, your medical clinics, are they engaged? How are they operating?
Early on, they did, like most facilities, they closed down to only emergencies. We were lucky enough to be the recipient of one of the Abbott rapid analyzers, but getting supplies to run the analyzer is another story. Like most people, unlike what you might hear in the news, getting the supplies has been extremely difficult. So our clinic does do testing, and we have protocols set up so that we keep folks outside and we come out and do the tests outside. We've been able to open up for the medical side a little more and are seeing patients more than just urgent care. We're waiting on equipment for our dental department so that we can open up almost all of dental, their procedures create airborne aerosols, and we have to get some specialized equipment in order to keep staff and patients safe for all of those invasive type procedures. And again, almost all of dental's procedures are invasive. So we're waiting for that equipment to come in, and a lot of our other programs are by Facebook, by email, by FaceTime, however we can connect with our patients. We have done some telehealth visits and have increased those. We have handed out cell phones and minutes and occasionally an iPad or some sort of a device if there's somebody that doesn't have access to do telehealth. And we're hoping we received funding notice for some testing costs, and we're trying to purchase another analyzer and more test kits. We're also working with Oregon State University to try to bring those students over to do some testing in both Lincoln City and Siletz areas, and we haven't finalized that agreement, but we're working on that so we can get more testing of our staff both in Lincoln City and Siletz, and trying to stay ahead of the curve on COVID.
Yeah.
This is Sharon. I did my first virtual doctor's appointment on Monday over the computer, and it worked out really well.
I can't imagine, Sharon.
Also, there's the issue of schools and school reopening. I know that's weighing heavy on lots of parents' minds, all of our minds, and not really certain what's going to happen there. The next 6 weeks is an eternity in the COVID world, but we're hoping that something might be possible, but I don't know. I just don't know what's going to happen.
Well, certainly around that whole issue of childcare too is to get and allow parents to get back to work if they are able to.
Yeah, and it's huge, and childcare, there's shortage of it anyway on a good day. And,
exactly.
I guess it's safe to say every facet of our lives have been affected. We're quite lucky, even though we've had the cases and the deaths that we have, we're lucky that as opposed to some of the places in Texas and Florida where you see it ratcheted up so high and so fast that we need to keep doing what we're doing, whatever it is. It seems to be trying to hold ground here. I know the numbers are climbing, but hopefully the hospitalizations will stay low.
Yes, yeah. Okay, that clears the agenda items, other than the grab bag of if there's anything else that people are curious about, or throw out a question, or Deanna.
Thank you. I just wanted to mention that we are, the city's in the process of renaming the villages at Cascade Head, and possibly the Knoll, but I kind of doubt it. Anyway, I just wanted to thank Robert for his information that he sent to us. And we had a subcommittee meeting today, and we reviewed all of what he sent to us, and then what we've been collecting and what research we've been doing. And I just wanted to thank you, Robert.
Yeah, let's hear you pronounce all those names now.
I'm practicing.
All right.
Well, just to finish that off, the city council will meet on Monday, the 27th of this month, and maybe we'll have some solutions,
Okay.
ideas.
Great. And any other questions or concerns? Well, but I appreciate, on behalf of the city and the council, all the sharing you do and the council, the tribal council does, and Dee. So, thank you. I'm glad we do get together, if nothing else, once a year. And it helps, keep those lines of communication. So thank you.
Well, we feel the same way, and it's always a pleasure to meet with you, Mayor Anderson, and the rest of the city council and your staff. And it's always I feel like we're on a level playing field, and we have a really good relationship with this city that we really value that. And we want you to know that.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Thank you.
All right.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to have to deal with Sharon tomorrow. So, I probably should sign off and.
Well, you already got a little taste of it, so.
I know. That's why I've got to. Okay. All right. Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
We'll adjourn the meeting.
Night.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Night.